Hi friends, in my earlier video I had talked about price ceiling. Right, now today we'll do some math. We'll calculate consumer surplus before and after price ceiling and see whether consumers are better off or not. Alright, let's start with it. So I have taken a hypothetical supply equation and a demand equation. So my supply equation is given by QS equals 100 plus 30B, and demand equation is given by QD equals 500 minus 20B. The first thing that we should find is the equilibrium price and quantity. And we all know that at equilibrium, our quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So I'll just equate these two equations. So it's 500 minus 20p equals 100 plus 30p. I'll take the variables on the one side. So I get 50p equals 400 and p equals 400 divided by 50. So that gives me $8. Right? So that's my equilibrium price. Now I have to find equilibrium quantity. And that I can find by substituting my equilibrium price in any of the equations. So I have substituted in both so that I know that my calculations are correct and I get the same answer, if I get the same answer, right? So I just substitute that in demand equation. I get 500 minus 20 into 8, which gives me 500 minus 160 equals 340 units. Now, in order to just check my little math, I'll substitute $8, that's the equilibrium price, in my supply equation also, and that should give me the same answer. It should give me 340 units. So let's check. Equilibrium quantity supplied will be equal to, substituting $8 into supply equation, I get 100 plus 30 into 8 equals to 100 plus 240, which gives me 340 units again. So all right, I'm good at that math. Okay, let's go down further and see. Okay, in terms of the graph, I have this quantity at the x-axis, price at y-axis, and this is my supply curve, and that's my demand curve, D dash. Now wherever they intersect, that's my equilibrium point, and corresponding to it I have my equilibrium price, that's 8. I've labeled it as F, and my equilibrium quantity at 340 that I've labeled as Q star, right? Now the next step is to find my consumer surplus, because I have to find consumer surplus before and after price ceiling. So I'll be finding consumer surplus before price ceiling first, right? All right, in order to find consumer surplus, first let's put P equals 8 in your demand equation. To find consumer surplus before price ceiling, set QD equals 0 and find price. Okay, so what you have to do is basically, let me just recall what consumer surplus is. Consumer surplus is basically the area above equilibrium price, that is above this and below your demand curve. So basically this triangle ACF, this ACF gives me my consumer surplus. All right, now I have this point, I have this point, I have this distance, right? In order to find this point, what I have to do is basically I have to equate demand equals to 0. I'll get the price at this point, right? My demand comes to 0 at this point, and I'll get this point, whatever the price is here. So that's 25 when we do some calculation. That's what I've done here. Okay, I have set demand equation equals to 0, and for that, so 500 minus 20p equals 0, 500 equals 20p, 500 divided by 20 equals p, that gives me $25. So when my demand is equal to 0, basically my price is very high, which is at 25. That is why my demand is equal to 0, right? In this case. Okay, all right. So next step is basically finding the consumer surplus. Okay, I have this diagram here now so that I don't have to turn the page again and again. And so Coming back to the diagram, this ACF is my consumer surplus before any price ceiling. All right. Okay. All right. So now we all know that the area of a triangle is given by your half into base into height. So that's what I have done. Half, we already have half. Base is basically your this distance. FC, that's your base, right? And that is given by distance this from 0 to 340. So that's my base. 340 is my base. That's why I've taken 340 as the base. And height is FA, right? That's your height, FA. FA I can find by subtracting my OF, that is this height, from my OA, that is this height. That is why I had to take out this value. So basically, this whole distance, OA minus OF, gives me my height of FA. Do you understand this? Right? So this OA is nothing but 25. OF is nothing but 8. That's why I've written 25 minus 8. And now what I get is my height of this, which is AF, which is 17. Correct? So I'll repeat again. In order to take out the consumer surplus before any price ceiling, that's the area, right? The triangle ACF is your consumer surplus. Now, in order to find this consumer surplus mathematically, it's just a triangle, so we just find the area of this triangle. Area of a triangle is given by half into base into height. So half, okay, we have FC, that's the base, right? This and this being parallel. So this 340 is your base. In order to take out height AF, what we have to do, OA minus OF will give you FA, right? OA is 25, OF is 8, and this little height then I get as 17. So that's what I have written here. Half into base into height, and now with some cancellations that give me 2890 square units. All right, so this is my area, this whole is my area before any price ceiling of consumer surplus, right? All right, now suppose there's a price ceiling of $5 is imposed by the government, right? So this line, basically this line going right, is my price ceiling. So let's say if I just write it as EV, right? So this line EV at $5 is my price ceiling now. All right. So now what is happening? Now what is happening is that this price ceiling is intersecting my supply curve here at point D. So basically only this much will be supplied in the market. All right. So that's why I have this point. I just draw a perpendicular. I extend that up here. I intersect it with the demand curve and I get this price of 12.5. Okay, now how do I get this 12.5? We'll do a little math again. Okay, but before that, let's just concentrate on some math. So now suppose price ceiling of $5 is imposed by the government. Now the next thing that we have to do is that at price ceiling we calculate what's the quantity supplied. That is, what is this point, the D point, right? So this much, what is the quantity supplied? So at price 5, calculate QS. That's what we have to do. So we substitute this value of price 5 in my supply equation. By substituting, what I get is QS equals 100 plus 30 into 5. Now my price is 5, right? Earlier it was 8, but now it's price because that's the price ceiling. So it's 100 plus 150, that's 250 units. So that's my quantity supplied. 250 units at price P. All right, now add that quantity supplied, how much is the demand? So that's what we are calculating. How much is the basically what we are trying to find out is that at 250, that how much is the price, okay, at quantity demanded. So at quantity demanded, what is the price at my quantity supplied of 250? Okay. So substituting QD equals 250 in demand function. So substitute QD in your demand function. So that's why this is perpendicular. This is hitting here. So that is your quantity demanded or quantity supplied is your 250. So that's what we're demanding, 250. Now at that quantity, basically we are finding what's the price. Okay. So when the quantity demanded is 250, that's what I'm doing. I'm substituting that 250 quantity demanded in my demand function. So I get 250 equals 500 minus 20p. So 20p equals 500 minus 250. I just, bring this here and bring this here. And then p equals 250 divided by 20. I get $12.5. So at 250 quantity demanded and supplied, I have a price of $12.5. All right. Okay. Now the next thing is, now we find the consumer surplus after the price ceiling. Okay. So first of all, let's just understand where is the consumer surplus after the price ceiling. Okay. Okay. Now this is the price at which quantity is demanded, right? But the quantity is constrained or restricted by this 250, all right? So basically, my consumer surplus after this would be, but my price ceiling is this $5, right? So my consumer surplus after the price ceiling would be A, B, D, E, this trapezoid. A, B, D, E, this trapezoid, right? I'll repeat again because now this is basically $5, which is the price ceiling, is your equilibrium price, kind of, right? And that's your demand curve, right? This D dash is your demand curve. So any area which is above your equilibrium price or the price set by the government, right? But below your demand curve, right, is your consumer surplus. Now, why haven't we taken this area B, C, D, this triangle? Because our supply is limited with this 250 units. So we have to take just this area into consideration for consumer surplus. Do you understand me? Right? Because at price ceiling of $5, the consumers are not willing to supply more than this. Right? So the equilibrium thing will be stuck here. Right? So 250 would be the kind of equilibrium quantity, if you want to say. Right? So that is why A, B, D, E trapezoid will be your area of consumer surplus after the price ceiling. All right. Okay, so that's what I've done. So area of a trapezoid ABDE is basically half into base 1 plus base 2 into your height. That's the formula. So half, again, base 1. So base 1 I have taken as, so I'll repeat again this, right? ABDE is my this. So base 1 would be this area, this line, AE. Now in order to calculate AE, what I have to do is basically AO minus OE. So that is why I have done 25 minus 5. So that gives me this first base, right? And the second base is given by this BD. Okay. So now my BD is nothing but O 12.5, right? This line O 12.5 minus my OE, which is this, right? If you want, I can label this as, let's say, R. So what I have is basically OR minus OE will give me my BD, right? Because these and these are parallel to each other. So OR is nothing but 12.5 and OE is nothing but 5. So subtracting the 2, I get this second base, this base, right? So first base is AE, which I get by subtracting 25 minus 5. And second base is BD, which I get by subtracting 12.5 minus 5. Understand me? And the height, obviously, the height is given by this, right? ED, which is nothing but 250. Since this and this are parallel. So ED is my height, which is given by this 250 distance, right? So that's what I've done, half into base in half base 1 plus base 2, the whole into my height. So half 25 minus 5, that's 1, plus 12.5 minus 5, that's second, into 250. That gives me half 20 plus 7.5 into 250. So half into some cancellations here and there, 27.5 into 250, and then some cancellations. I get 3437.5 square units. Alright? I hope you understand this, right? Okay, so now since 3437.5 square units is greater than my earlier 2890 square units, so basically we can say that consumers are better off as a group, right? Not individually I'm talking about, but as a group after the price ceiling is imposed. However, this is just for the consumer surplus. As I have explained in my earlier video, we are worse off, right? Just in order to recall you, this BCD is nothing but the dead weight loss that goes nowhere. So this dead weight loss goes nowhere, which is not the case when we have the market determined equilibrium price and quantity, right? So society as a whole is not better off, it's worse off because there's a dead weight loss. But consumer surplus or consumers, we can say as a group, are better off when price ceiling is imposed because they end up having higher consumer surplus. Alright? Okay, so that's it from my side. Hope you liked it and it was informative. See you next time. Bye bye.